Alright, looks like we're live. Wait for a few people to join here and I'll get started with this week's broadcast. I've got to... Alright, one person joined so far. 17 seconds in, one person joined. That was pretty quick. Sorry, I'm getting set up here so I can make sure I answer all comments, hopefully, or as many of them as I can. And I think we're good to go. Alright, thank you guys for joining. 4 of you guys so far. Appreciate that. Oh, and the dog's going crazy. You can't see that on camera, but he is nuts tonight. Okay, shaking the camera, shaking the whole deck a little bit. So, busy week for me. I don't know how it's been for you guys. I didn't get Quail video update. I didn't get a rabbit update done this week. Just too busy. Too many things going on. Getting back from out of the country last week. And but I managed to get the live broadcast going tonight. Just barely made it tonight. So, hey guys, let's see. New York Tigress is here. Just you, huh? You were the first one on today. And name that I can't pronounce says hello, Chris. I can't even read. I'm not sure what is that. Arabic, maybe? I don't know what language that is. But hello, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Sean Dobson, you actually made it. Thank you for joining. I appreciate that. Who else we got here? Landon Parnell from Kentucky. Hello there. Roy Jenkins. Hi. How are you? Melissa Diggs from Tennessee. Andrew Backhawk. How are you doing? Tyler Hoagie, I think, says hey. Hey, how are you? And Rob Hall, hello from Ontario. We got people from all over the place. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining. I appreciate that. And Chris, oh, no, you're saying Chris, this is Johnny G from Detroit. So, welcome from Detroit. I was actually born in Michigan, but nowhere near Detroit. I was born in Battle Creek, Michigan. I've never been to Detroit myself. Waterfowler, hi, how are you doing tonight? Hopefully you guys have had a good week. Like I said, just been a crazy busy week. Somebody else from Canada, that's Gabriel Cater, I think. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. We'll see what's going on here. Not a whole lot going on here. Starting to cool off, getting real close to starting up the breeding with the rabbits again. The quail, the grow outs are doing great. They're about 5 weeks old, and they're doing fantastic. So I'm going to start probably mixing some of those in. I want to keep some of the silvers. Get my population of silvers up. I can't tell if they're male or female yet, but I'm going to start mixing those in with my regular quail here pretty quick. So I might be doing some videos on mixing younger quail with older quail, kind of testing that out. I've done it a little bit before. Seems to work out pretty well. We'll see how they do when they're about 5 weeks old, though. All right, so Elias from Iran. Okay, so that's Iranian writing. I can't read that. I don't read Iranian, unfortunately. But hey, welcome. I'm glad you could make it. Tyler G, hi, how are you doing? See, Sean Dobson says you're going to pick up some quail this week. Any suggestions on what I need besides cage, feed, and water? Well, that's pretty much it. Depending on how old they are, if you get a cage, get feed, get water, of course, you've got those things, I think, the basics down. That's pretty much all you need, really. That's the bare minimums. If you want eggs and they're old enough to lay eggs, you're probably going to have to give them a couple of weeks before they start laying. Anytime you move them, they just kind of stop laying. But add some artificial light. Make sure you have about 14 hours a day of light in order to get them to start laying. And that's really about all you need. As far as the feed goes, look for a game bird starter or a turkey starter with about 25 or higher % protein, and you should be fine with that. All right, Johnny G says, quick question. At what age can female rabbits breed? Your Rex is about 4 months now, and the male New Zealand Flemish Giant is 8 months old. When can you start breeding them? I would give the female until she's at least 6 months old. Other than that, your Flemish Giant, 8 months old, he's perfectly fine to start breeding, but I like to wait till they're about 6 months old. Even then, sometimes the female's going to be a little reluctant to breed. You might have to give her just a little bit longer, but 6 months is usually a pretty good age to start breeding. Okay, so Tyler G's asking, he's asking Sean if you're related to Georgia Dobson. I don't know who Georgia Dobson is, but Sean, maybe you're related to Georgia. I thought you were asking me, Tyler. If I was, I thought, no, why would give you that idea? Let me scoot my chair back a little bit so I'm more in camera. There we go. All right. Chat's a little bit quiet now all of a sudden. Usually I got lots of people asking lots of questions, keeping me busy here. From Kentucky. You know, one thing I am amazed by, oh yeah, the puppy's out tonight. You might see him in the background. Just keep watching. He'll be a white blur that goes past here every once in a while. He's pretty wound up tonight. Can you see the quail chicks? Well, you know what? Towards the end of this video, I might try to take you out there. I don't know that I can actually show that on the live video because I'm connected to my Wi-Fi, and I don't think my Wi-Fi will reach all the way out there. So maybe I'll show it in next week's video, or I don't know exactly how I'll try to do that. Maybe I'll take a quick video, post it up on the Facebook group, something like that, to show you guys the grow outs. I'm building a new grow out pen. Somebody asked last week when I mentioned that to take some video of it. I don't know if you guys saw the puppy go by there, but there he went. So I'm taking some video of the grow out pen when I'm building it. Hopefully that video comes out okay. When I build things, I'm a little bit kind of maybe not the most organized. I have an idea in my head, but it just kind of goes together like, you know, oh, I need to do this, oh, I need to do that, oh, wait a minute, made a mistake, got to fix that. So hopefully it comes out okay in video, and I'll get that up there. I do need to get a backyard Wi-Fi set up, but I can't quite justify the cost just to shoot a live video once a week, but who knows, maybe I'll do that at some point. Richard, you said you're into your second week of dry incubation. Well, good luck with that. Hopefully that works out well. I did some dry incubation last time. Worked out pretty well for me. I might try it again and see how well it works. Look to my left. What? Oh, was that my puppy running by on the left? Yeah, he's way over there now next to the house. He's just rummaging around, seeing if he can find something to chew on. Donations make Wi-Fi cheaper. Well, that's true. Donations would make Wi-Fi cheaper, but I'm not expecting you guys to donate to me so I can get a backyard Wi-Fi set up. That doesn't seem like a really justified cause to me. So, well, that's true. I could run a Wi-Fi cable all the way out here and, you know, set up a bridge for Wi-Fi, or I could just run my modem out here probably and set up. I mean, I've got a big long Wi-Fi or Ethernet cable that I could run out here. But who knows? Maybe someday I'll do that. Right now, I just don't have it set up. But we'll try. We'll take it out there. We'll see how far it reaches towards the end of the video, and see if we can get that on camera. All right. So Elias, I think. Again, I can't read the writing on your avatar, so if I'm getting your name wrong, I'm sorry. You're asking, do you raise chickens? Do I raise chickens? No, I don't raise chickens. Not right now anyway. I might at some point, but right now the quail and the rabbits are pretty much it. The next thing I think is probably going to be ducks. I'm looking at maybe getting into some ducks. I haven't decided yet, but that's probably the most likely thing. All right, so Melissa Diggs says you had your first hatch of bob whites in June. Can you expect eggs this year, or will they lay next spring? You know, I'm not an expert on bob whites. But I would think that you're probably going to have to wait till the spring. I don't really know when they grow to sexual maturity. Seems like bob whites take a little longer, like something like 3 months, something like that. No, it's a little bit longer than that, isn't it? I don't remember exactly. I want to say it's more like 4 or 5 months, but I'm not an expert on bob white quail. I've never actually raised them myself, so I'm sorry I can't answer that question. Alan Ocampo asks, what is my day job? We covered that in a live video a couple of weeks ago. You want to take a guess at where my day job is? Some of you guys already know, don't you? When did I add water at the... Oh, yes, Richard, you're asking about dry incubation, when I added water. Yeah, I added a little bit of water at lockdown to up the humidity level just a little bit, got it up to about 70%. Summertime with the humidity up a little bit around here, I only had to add two channels of water. I didn't have to fill up the whole incubator itself. New York Tigress is coming in with an answer to the question about bob white quail. She says, yes, wait till the spring. So thank you very much for that. Melissa Diggs says 14 weeks, I think. I think you're referring to the bob whites as well. That sounds about right from what I've heard as well, but I'm not real sure. Max, get out of there. Sorry, he's getting into the planter. All right, when you do on, okay, this is Nelson Del Rosario says, when you do a lockdown on quail, how many days can the firstborn do without eating? When the first one hatches, it can go up to 3 days before you have to remove it from the incubator. I usually try to do it within 2. Within 48 hours from the time that it hatched, it gives the others a chance to hatch out before you open that incubator and remove them all out. But you can go as far as 72 hours. I've done that before and had plenty of success with it. But again, I like to err a little bit more closer to 48 hours. All right, Sean Dobson says, you were planning on keeping the quail in your garage, which is heated. Will the smell cause havoc with the wife? Well, it depends. If you have a good watering system that doesn't leak, it shouldn't be too bad, honestly. But it also depends on how sensitive your wife is to those kinds of things. You know, my wife's not really that sensitive to it. She doesn't really mind too much. But I'll tell you what, there's not much worse of a smell than wet quail droppings. When they're dry, not too bad. But when they're wet, wow, that's pretty rough. So get a good watering system that doesn't leak, that doesn't drip into your dropping pan, and you should be okay. Just emptying out the dropping pan every day or every other day, probably going to be okay. Excuse me, my throat's a little dry today. All right, so Rob Hall, what size cage would you recommend for baby rabbits after they're weaned off mom, and how many to a cage would you recommend? Sean Dobson, you're pretty close. Call center manager. I'm an account manager for a call center, a telemarketing company. Okay, back to the question about the rabbits and how many to a cage. It depends on how big your cage is. My cages are 30 by 36, 36 inches by 30 inches, and 18 inches tall, I think. Maybe they're a little taller than that. I can't remember. 24 inches. Anyway, I can easily fit, 7 or 8 grow outs in that up until they're just about 5 pounds. It does start to get a little bit crowded at that point, but they're just, they're only going to be in there for a couple of weeks before they go to butcher anyway. So that works okay for those guys. It'd really be best probably to have 2 cages for them, but you can get away with just 1. Hopefully that kind of answers the question for you. All right, somebody's asking what my topic is tonight. My topic tonight is pretty much every night that I do live broadcasts. Who is this? Michelle Richards says, hi everyone, just here trying to catch up. Just had a brief encounter with Hurricane Irma and expecting Hurricane Jose on the weekend. You live in the Caribbean. Is it, I never know if I'm pronouncing it right. Is it Caribbean or Caribbean? Or is it just, depending on who you are and how you say it, either one's right? Either way, hopefully you are safe. Hurricane Irma, boy, that's a big storm. Like I said, I'm a account manager for a call center, and I manage a team that is in the Dominican Republic in Santiago, a click-to-chat team. So that means, like, when you're on a website and it says click here to talk to somebody, that's the team that you're talking to, maybe, depending on what website you're on. I can't disclose who my client is. But anyhow, they got hit very hard by Hurricane Irma. They sent me some video. I was just there a week ago visiting them on site, and the hotel I was at now has like 3 feet of water running down the road right in front of it. So pretty crazy. But anyway, back to your question about what's the topic tonight. The topic tonight is just whatever comes up in the chat. I just pretty much answer questions, chat with you guys. I don't have a planned out topic for this. Usually keeps us pretty busy and keeps us going, pretty much until the end of the video. I usually try to keep this about an hour or a little bit under. So hopefully stay safe with that hurricane coming. Hopefully you're doing all right with that. It's no joke. I know it's a big storm, and we'll be praying for you. What am I choking on? Just a dry throat. Just talking too much today and this evening. Not really choking on anything. All right, can I explain the day on off incubation to the last day? When does day official start and the last day in? Oh, okay. This is Matoma Martin. I think you're asking, like, when I start incubating eggs, what do I count as day 1? Day 1 is the first day I start incubating. So I set eggs, that's day 1. And then day 15 is whenever I go into lockdown. And they should start hatching on day 17 to day 20, somewhere right around in there. Most of them start hatching usually on day 17. If they hatch a little bit early, that means your temperature is probably a little bit high. If they start hatching more closer to day 30, or excuse me, day 20, that means that your temperature is probably a little bit low. But with ideal settings, they should start hatching right around day 17 to day 18. The bulk of them, the majority of them, should hatch right about then. Hopefully that answers that question for you. All right, Melissa Diggs says, can you get Coturnix to lay in the fall and winter? Yes, you can. Just make sure that you have a lot of artificial light. They need 14 hours a day of light. They'll lay all winter long. Now, of course, in the dead of winter, you're probably going to get frozen eggs, but they will still lay. All right, is that Carla? Oh, Carla Harrison says, last week during this feed, you were watching your hatch. You got 3 happy chicks now. Not relevant to my climate, but have you heard anything about making them more comfortable in the cold? Once they're fully feathered out, I really don't have any problems with them going out in the cold. they do just fine. As long as you provide them with a windbreak, somewhere to get out of the wind, where they don't have drafts coming up underneath or from the sides or from the top, they do just fine. I haven't had any problems. And our climate here may not be as cold as your climate, but we do have pretty consistent below freezing temperature in the wintertime. They've had no problems whatsoever. Just as long as they're fully feathered out, you know, at least about 3 weeks old or older, they do just fine. All right. You're asking what kind, Alan Ocampo says, what kind of call center? Well, it's a telemarketing company. We do mostly work for existing clients, so we do lots of inbound calling, where you call in to a number, lots of outbound calling. We take like phone companies, cable companies, those kinds of things. We call their existing clientele to offer upgrades to their services. We take calls from their clientele to process orders, some of those kinds of things. All right, Richard Zielinski says, you modeled your quail pens much after yours here in Maine. Stayed outside all year, 10 at a time, and all did fine, no deaths. Yeah, mine's worked great. So far, I haven't had any problems with them in the wintertime either. Tiffany DeMoss says, hello, question. My does cage are about 6 inches apart. No dividers yet. Would you recommend dividers when I start breeding so each doe has their own privacy? My does haven't had peen or hair pulling war. You know, I've never had any problems with does between cages. I do put a divider between my male and my female. The male's the one that's more likely to spray urine. They could even, breed between the cages. So I do put a divider in between them. But as far as the females go, no, they don't seem to mind either way. The privacy is not a big deal to them. All right, PT Jeff 9X says, what week do you harvest? I don't know if you're talking about quail or rabbits. Quail get harvested at about 8 weeks old. Or about 8 weeks old roughly. Rabbits, they get harvested. It depends when they get to grow out weight. It depends a lot on your breeders, how fast they grow out. I try to keep rabbits on hand that grow out quick, that produce babies that grow out fast, and they get up to 5 pounds at about 8 weeks. So, but it's somewhere usually between 8 to 12 weeks. Somewhere right around in there is when they get up to butcher weight, and that's whenever I harvest. All right, Elias says, Chris, is it bad to feed the quail meat? Well, not a little bit of meat. In nature, they're omnivores. They eat primarily insect protein would be the source of meat, so to speak, that they would get. You could probably get away with feeding them a little bit of meat. I wouldn't go overboard with that. I would really focus trying to get more on insects and those kinds of things. And don't apologize for your English. The fact that you speak more than one language is far above me. I mean, I would just spend a week in the Dominican Republic where everybody speaks Spanish and I don't speak any Spanish. So don't apologize for your English. I'm understanding it just fine. You're doing fantastic. Okay, so Andrew Babcock says, how do you go about mixing birds? They're all females. Well, it kind of depends. If they've never been together and you're mixing them together, what I would try to do is to try to mix even numbers. So, 4 of this kind that have all been together, 4 of these that have all been together, and you mix them together. That's usually been the best success rate, and even then you're still probably going to get a little bit of picking on each other, a little bit of fighting going on. But that's usually the way that it's worked the best for me. If you can't mix them up like that, if they're all brand new to each other, well, then that works too. You can just kind of throw them in there. What you don't want to do is have 4 females that have all been together and throw 1 bird in with them, because they'll all gang up on that 1 bird. But if they're all kind of new to each other, it seems to kind of minimize that fighting just a little bit. And my dog is going nuts. All right. What were we at here? I'm missing something. Okay. Robert Daniels says, I've watched a lot of your videos on rabbits, and it has helped me out helped me out more than I could ever tell you. Thank you so much for all the info. Well, thank you so much for watching the videos. I'm so glad you found them helpful, and hopefully can produce a lot more videos that you will find helpful. Sorry, my dog is distracting me again. Okay, so we've got another question here. Sean Dobson says, how many adult quail can go in a 24 by 24 by 14 cage? Okay. I answer this question all the time, but that's okay, because it's obviously one that's a big question that everybody has. You really want to use about the rule of 1 bird per square foot. So a 24 by 24 cage that's 14 inches tall, I'm assuming is what you're talking about. So 24 by 24 is 2 foot by 2 foot, so that's 4 square feet. You could get away with probably 4 to 6 birds within that. Wait a minute, is that right? 2 by 2? Yeah. 4 square feet, I think, yes. You could probably get away with 4 to 6 birds in that cage, no problem whatsoever. If they've all grown up together, 6 should be just fine. I wouldn't go much more than that. That's getting a little bit packed. But anywhere from about 4 to 6. Hopefully that kind of helps. All right. Matoma Martin says, did you put out a quail and rabbit video this week? I did not put one out this week. I got behind. Didn't get a chance to get them. I've got the quail video filmed. I didn't get a chance to get it edited and get it uploaded. And I didn't get a rabbit video filmed. So I will work on that, though. Hopefully next week I'll be back on track with that. Sorry, every great once in a while life just catches up and I just can't stay on track. And that was this week. I got behind. All right, so Richard is saying, what's the most rabbits you've ever had at once? Let's see, I've had, oh good grief, I don't know. My 3 breeders, and if both of them have litters, that puts us at 25 rabbits, somewhere right around there is probably the most I've ever had at once. I don't usually keep it that many at one time, though. Usually what I do, I mean, I'll have maybe that many at one time, but like 10 of them are, you know, tiny, week-old babies still in the nest box, and then the others are getting butchered before they even leave the nest. So it's not really quite as many rabbits as it sounds like. All right, Taylor G says, wow, your female quail pecks the male. He's bald. Is that, I think you're asking if that's normal. It's not abnormal for a female quail to pick a male, to pick on a male. In fact, a lot of times your females will be the bullies. If you don't have enough females, like if you have too many males, that's usually going to cause some kinds of problems, but it'll usually be the males overbreeding the females and scalping them, causing them to kind of be bald. But your females will turn on the males sometimes. They'll pick on them. They'll pick all the feathers around their face and their head and their neck and just pick them bald. It's not really that abnormal. Sometimes it'll kind of work out on its own. Sometimes you just have to find the bully, call the bully, get it out of your flock, and everything's fine after that. All right, so CLH Legal says, I want to start raising quail. Do you suggest starting with adults, chicks, or hatching eggs? Kind of depends, really. There's a lot of benefits to each one. If you've never incubated before and you can get quail locally, it might be best to start with live birds. Just get chicks and grow them out. You're going to get them a lot cheaper. Usually you can buy chicks for about $1 forever, however many weeks old they are. So you can buy like 2-week-old chicks for like $2. And you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck that way than spending $5 or $6 on adult birds. But it just depends on what's available in your area. The benefit to getting eggs is that you can order really specialized birds where you may not be able to get those locally. You just kind of get mutts locally. But when you order eggs, you can order from somebody like Kansas City Quail Farm, who had sponsored a video of mine a while back, and those are where most of my birds right now came from. And you can get, you know, the jumbo birds, the jumbo pharaohs, the silver, you know, whatever kind you want. He's got a huge selection of them, and you're going to get very purebred birds. So, and plus you get a lot of them. You order like 100 eggs, and you may not get 100 eggs to hatch, but you're going to get a whole bunch of them to hatch. You pay a lot less for those bird for bird than you do for chicks or live birds, but it takes a little while for those to grow out. You're looking at about 8 weeks for them to get up to size to where they start laying their own eggs, and you can start incubating off of those. And if you've never incubated before, you know, you might want to buy some cheap eggs locally and try incubating a couple times just to make sure you get the process down. I do have a whole series on hatching, incubating eggs that will help you out on that. So you can look on my page. There's a playlist for them, and they're all listed out there. And that'll show you step-by-step how to go through and incubate your eggs. It'll help you out a lot with that. But still, you might want to try it once with some cheaper eggs before you ever just spend a lot of money on eggs and you know, invest in a whole lot and then have a failed hatch. So hopefully that kind of answers that question for you. All right, so let's see. I probably missed a couple of comments. If I did, I'm sorry. Ask again. But let's see. Matoma Martin says, have I done any hunting lately? No, not any lately. I went fishing this last weekend. Took the kayaks out with my cousin. Fished one of the local creeks here. Caught about 20 fish. Couple pretty nice smallmouth. Caught a 19-inch smallmouth. Pretty good smallmouth bass. He caught about a 23-inch largemouth. It was probably about 6 pounds. Really nice one. We caught about 20 apiece, so it was a really good day fishing, but it's not hunting season really around here. Hunting season starts up, deer hunting anyway, starts up in November, and then usually I hunt in the winter and the fall, some squirrel hunting, some of those kinds of things, and then when summer hits, I switch over to fishing, and that's kind of my thing. All right, have I ever tried to get MPIP certified? If so, was it an easy process? No, Andrew, I haven't tried that. I'm not set up to ship eggs, to sell eggs. I don't produce that high that many eggs, so it's not really something I've really looked into. From what I understand, it's not a terribly difficult process to get into. They come by, they test your birds, and as long as they all pass, you're MPIP certified. And I think it's testing like once a year. I don't remember exactly, but I don't really think it's a terribly difficult thing to do. All right, Raptor says, oh, and good evening to J&L Homestead. Almost missed that comment. Raptor says, you want a quail as a pet, will it be okay? Well, yeah, I mean, it'll be okay. They don't necessarily make the best pets. They don't necessarily socialize the best. But who knows, your experience may be different, and it depends on what you're looking for in a pet. Try it out and see. All right, comments are starting to come through pretty quick, so if I missed your comment, I apologize for it again. Okay, Karen Yearwood says, is the use of apple cider good for rabbits? Yeah, it's good for rabbits. Apple cider is good for pretty much everything. It's not quite as magical as people make it out to be. If you get into like, the homesteading and prepping community and all that kind of stuff, it's almost like they believe that apple cider has some kind of magical properties and it will cure everything that makes you sick. Or it's not quite that great, but it does have a lot of beneficial bacteria, kind of like yogurt, sauerkraut, all those fermented foods, the lactobacillus. I think I'm saying that right, lactobacillus. Anyway, lactic, whatever those bacteria are, those are all real beneficial for your gut. And apple cider vinegar, as long as you get apple cider vinegar with the mother in it, they have a lot of those beneficial enzymes and bacteria in them as well. So yeah, it's good for your rabbits. Just add a glug or two, a couple tablespoons to a gallon of water, and that's real good for your rabbits. It can help if you have a doe that's reluctant breeding. You add a little bit of apple cider vinegar to the water. It's reported to kind of help with getting them in the mood, so to speak. But I don't know if that's true or not. I've never actually tried that out and experienced that. All right. Excuse me. Let's see. Richard Zielinski says, you have a male quail that you can take out and he'll follow me around in the garden. When I return him back to the pen, I have one female that blinded him, but just him. Really? Well, so you have a quail that actually follow you around. I think that's kind of unusual. Mine kind of jump out of the cage whenever I open the cage. They don't follow me around, but they do kind of act, they just sit there and kind of act all kind of bewildered, like, what is this? Where am I? It's kind of funny to me, but they don't follow me around for sure. But I don't know, if you spend enough time with them, maybe they will calm down and maybe they will kind of tame up a little bit. Sean Dobson says, that's a huge, it was a pretty good smallmouth bass. I'm pretty proud of it. I haven't caught too many that were bigger than that, especially not out of the streams around here. All right, CH Legal says, thanks. You haven't incubated before. You appreciate the info. Your rabbit breeding program is great. Thanks for your videos, and you'll watch the incubating videos. Well, hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and hopefully those help you out a little bit. All right, I just lost a bunch more comments, so again, I apologize if I missed yours, but somebody's checking out early. I can't see who that is, but thank you for coming in. Andrew Babcock. Okay, thank you for coming in. Appreciate you watching the video and joining us on the live broadcast. You have a good night as well. Let's see. Nelson Del Rosario says, you're in Aruba. If you order eggs from the U.S., will they be at least two? They'll be at least 2 weeks on the way. What is the chance for them to hatch? I don't think I would do that. Overseas shipping, 2 weeks in a box, probably not the prime conditions. I don't know that you'd get real good results out of that. I mean, if that's your only option, that's your only option, but I think I would try to look for somebody that's a little bit closer. Surely somebody in Aruba raises quail, and you'll be able to find somebody locally to kind of get them from. Hate to say it, but that's probably your best bet and probably where you're going to get the most success from it. Okay, will a Coturnix mate with a snowflake? I'm not sure I'm not sure what snowflake quail are. Are they a different species, or are they just a color variation of Coturnix? I'm not real familiar with them. If they're like like tuxedos, Texas A&Ms, the silver ones that I have right now, those are all just different color variations of Coturnix, and they'll all mate together just fine. But I don't know about. I think a snowflake is a bobwhite, isn't it? Isn't it like a Mexican bobwhite species? If so, no, they won't interbreed. But I'm not real sure on what they are. Okay, Karen Yearwood says, that's what I'm using and trying to see if it also heard it's good for fleas, etc. I'm actually, oh, you're talking about the apple cider vinegar again being good for fleas and some of those kinds of things. I've heard that too, but I've never had a problem with fleas on my rabbits either, anyway, so not really that big of a deal. All right, back to Elias. Again, I hope I'm getting your name right because I can't read it, but I think that's what you said it was. Okay, do the supermarket eggs, are they good for incubation Is there any chance? You know, there is a chance that if you buy eggs from a supermarket, they will hatch. You don't really, I mean, you don't know, because it just kind of depends on how cold they were kept. If they were fertile to begin with, you don't know where they came from. If they were from somebody that had male and females, or just females, and so maybe you can try it out. It's happened. People have incubated them and had them hatch before, but it's not really. I wouldn't think that your odds would be very good. Sean Dobson says, so apple cider vinegar is like whiskey for humans. Well, maybe in a way. I don't think it gets the rabbits drunk, but yeah, it's kind of a cure-all, like people think that whiskey is as well. So, all right, Kelly Campbell says, you've raised small numbers of quails and pheasant for a couple of years. You have 125 quail arriving in the morning. Is there an expected percentage of loss? Well, maybe. It depends on where you're shipping them from. If you're shipping live quail, then yeah, I would say there's expected that some of them are going to probably die. They don't tend to ship very well. It stresses them out a lot. What really usually happens when you ship quail, especially if you're shipping them when they're young, is it kind of stunts their growth, and they don't grow out to their fullest potential. Now, they'll still breed, they'll still lay eggs, you can hatch out, and those will grow out to their fullest potential, but the birds themselves that you're getting shipped in usually don't. But your experience may be different. It depends on how far they're coming from, what the conditions were when they were shipping, how long they were, in storage while they were being shipped. Lots of different things there. Hard to give you a definite answer on that. Excuse me, guys. Talking too much. Oh, I just brought this out in just a can because you guys were accusing me of drinking beer on camera, but I'm not tonight. Wasn't the other times either. All right, Kelly Campbell says, oh, I already answered that question. Landon Parnell, how do you keep the smell down with your quail and rabbits with people living so close? It's not that bad, honestly. My neighbors aren't that close to me. The closest one I have is right here on this side. She has goats. She could care less about the smell, even if it was a smell. But it's really not that bad. I bring people over all the time, and the first time here, and they come back here, and that's their first comment, is they're surprised with, wow, it didn't really smell that bad. The key is keeping everything dry. When it's like, if it rains real heavy, then yeah, there's a definite smell that comes underneath the quail pen. But as soon as it dries out, it's really not that bad. And the rabbits, the same thing. As long as you can kind of, I have a setup underneath there with tarps. The urine runs down into a bucket, and the droppings kind of stay there. So they stay a little bit dry, and that does the trick with those. They don't really smell that bad. All right, where are we at here? Nothing wrong with drinking a beer on camera. Well, I'm not against drinking a beer every once in a while, but I don't think it's a good example. I have a lot of really young viewers on here, and it's just not a good example to set for them. Not only that, but I am a Christian. I'm an elder in a church, and again, even as a Christian, I don't think there's anything wrong with drinking a beer, having a drink every once in a while. Drunkenness is the sin, not having a drink. And I do drink a beer with dinner, I don't know, a couple nights a week. But I'm not going to drink that on camera because I just don't want to send the wrong example. If somebody logs in for the first time and they see me sitting here drinking a beer, it sends the wrong message to them, and that's not what I want to do. All right, Tyler G's checking out for the night, so thank you for joining. I appreciate that. You have a good night. Well, hello, Isabel. Thanks for joining in tonight. Boost your Pepsi. Well, I don't know what that means, boost my Pepsi. Are you talking about mixing something in with it? Not my kind of deal. I'm pretty much, if I drink something, it's going to be a beer. I'm not really a hard alcohol drinker. Hey, Giant Angoras is back. We haven't seen you in a while. So should you get red New Zealands and white New Zealands and also your 12? I remember that about you. If you want meat rabbits, either one's going to be fine. Get one of each, and they're going to do just great. There's really no difference between red New Zealand's, white New Zealand. I mean, there's a difference. One's red, one's white. But for the most part, they're going to work just fine. So Pissarro, I think, Pissarro Bird Lover has 2 pet quail. Interesting. I hear people talk about that every once in a while. I've never seen them much as pets themselves. But, hey, if it works, it works. Great. I'm glad to hear that. So Matoma Martin, you're talking about my hunting. You said you're pretty much your lifestyle in the wintertime. In Melbourne, Australia, you hunt in the winter, you fish in the summer. Not so much with rods, but more the spearfishing and surfing. We have to thank God. Yeah, we do have to thank God. And I say that all the time. walk out in nature, and how can you look at nature, and how can you look around at all the things that are created and say there's no God out there? The Bible says it. It says creation declares the glory of God, and I see that in the rivers. We don't have any oceans around here, so no spear fishing for me, but that's okay. I have a great time fishing with a rod and a reel, and just all the beautiful things that God gave us to enjoy right here in our own backyard. Anywhere you go in the world, there's something in nature that's just amazing, and that is just a testament to how great of a creator we have. That's my opinion anyway. Any chance of a winter garden setup video? Sean Dobson. You know, I might do that. I'm not really set up, I don't think, to do it this year, but who knows? Maybe I'll get a little bit motivated and get that going. I have done some winter gardens, and I've got some videos on my homepage that you can go to where I talked about setting up some like low tunnels, cheap low tunnels, PVC pipes, some rebar, drive into the ground, make a hoop basically, and some plastic film that goes over it. And I grew spinach and lettuce and some of those kinds of things, you know, cold hardy vegetables in there. And I had spinach that was bolting in like January. You know, our first frost comes in October, and it doesn't end. I mean, February, January are our coldest months usually. And I had spinach that was bolting in January. So it worked pretty well for me. You might try it out and see how it works. I don't know if I'll get any done this year. I've kind of let the garden go. I've been so busy, and it's weeds everywhere. It's horrible. It's a mess right now. But who knows? Maybe I'll get to it and get it cleaned up and get some winter gardening going. All right, somebody missing a few things. You're a good teacher. You're a Christian too. Well, thank you very much for that, Giant Angors. I appreciate that. And looks like we are family. All us Christians, we are family, right? All right. Have I raised ducks before? And do they have a egg laying season? Oh, okay. Do they have an egg laying season? I haven't personally raised ducks, but I'm a little familiar with ducks. Yeah, they pretty much lay just like any other bird. They tend to lay more through the summer, unless you add artificial lights, and artificial lights, upping it to 14 hours a day or so, is going to kind of keep them laying in the wintertime. Just about like any other poultry bird, anything like that. Okay, so Pasario Bird Lover saying, you want your quail more healthy. What vegetables should you give your quail? You can feed them a lot of different vegetables, just about anything that you would eat. Stay away from nightshades, which are like the stems and leaves of tomatoes, onions. You don't want to feed onions. What else? There's a lot. Don't feed avocado. Avocado can be toxic to them. But there's a whole lot of other, it's too many for me to go into on this, but I do have a video on my homepage about what vegetables you can feed quail. Go check that out, and I go through a whole list of them. Make sure you add some insect. If you're not going to be feeding them a commercial feed, add some insect protein to that. Mealworms, crickets, something like that, because they need that as well. Okay, somebody said, thought those were early spring. I'll watch that again. Oh, you're talking about the hoop house setup that I put up? No, that was like late fall. I set those up in late fall, ran them all winter long. We had snow and everything, and they worked great. Can strawberries grow in Aruba? I'm not real familiar with Aruba's climate. I don't know what zone you would be considered, but I'm sure there's a strain of strawberry that can grow there. Maybe not every strain, but I'm sure some of them can. I just don't really know your climate well enough to answer that question. All right, so Sirocco says you have 21 Coturnix quail hatch out on day 17, 3 hatched out today, which is day 19. I have over 20 eggs left. How long should I keep on incubating? I'd give them till about day 22. Usually after that, anything that's going to hatch is probably going to be deformed, not make it, going to be too weak, any of those kinds of things. That's usually my cutoff, so hopefully that helps. You might check your incubator temperature with a calibrated thermometer and make sure that it's actually reading correctly, that it's measuring the temperature correctly. All right, so Giant Angora says, I'm in Washington. Have you heard about the forest fire? I have heard about that. Hopefully things are going well there. That seems to be pretty bad, and it's terrible, but hopefully they're going well. All right, Pasario says, thank you. Okay, Elias says you're actually you are Muslim. Okay, well, I'm okay with that. I don't judge you for being Muslim. As long as you can get along with me being a Christian, I think we can be friends just fine. I'm not going to judge you for that at all. If it wasn't, and don't take this the wrong way, I'm not being arrogant or any of those kinds of things, but if it wasn't for the grace of God, I would be right there as well. And again, I don't mean that as an arrogant thing, or I'm not putting you down. I don't mean anything like that. I'm just saying it from the standpoint, I'm not judging you for not being the same religion as me. I'm okay with you being Muslim. If you're okay with me being Christian, we can still be friends. I'm okay with that. Okay, Pisario says you're Muslim too and you're 11 years old. Well, hey, thank you guys for joining my channel and for tolerating me being a Christian and talking about it. If that offends you, I hope it doesn't. But thank you guys for being on the channel anyway. I appreciate you coming, and I appreciate you guys being here. Okay, Kelly Campbell says, thank you, have a great night. You'll update on the quail as time progresses. Thank you for joining, I appreciate that. You have a good night as well. All right, it's starting to get dark here. We're 40 minutes into this broadcast. I've got a wife and a stepson in there that I need to go spend some time with before the end of the night. I haven't seen them all day. You want me to see if I can take the camera out there and see if we can get a shot of the grow outs? You guys want to see those? Wait till I get a few comments, see if everybody's okay with that. Well, Sean Dobson, thank you for joining the videos and watching them. It wouldn't be worth putting time into it if you guys weren't watching. Okay, so let me say my goodbyes now just in case, because I'm afraid we're going to lose the signal, and if we do, well, I'm just going to have to end the video there, but we're going to try to walk out to the quail hutch and see the grow outs in the quail hutch out there. Just in case we don't make it and it does disconnect, I want to thank all you guys for joining this video. Thank you for watching all the videos that I put up. Once this video goes, after it goes live and after it posts, go down in the comments section below that and leave me some comments. What kind of videos would you like to see? What would you like to see me address in the future? And I'll try to get those things done as well. All right, I got one more comment that came in. Well, thank you guys for watching again. Appreciate it all. Let's see if we can make it out there. All right, here we go. We'll see how far we can go. I get my thumb out of the camera view. That might make it a little bit better. All right, so far it looks like we're still connected. Let's hope. Let's hope. And maybe, just maybe, we'll make it. I'll be surprised if we do, but we'll see. Well, it looks like it. You can see my house. You can see the oh, there we go. The new grow out pen I'm building right there. The sheet of plywood I had to buy to finish it out. So I'm working on getting to the quail right now. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Hopefully I'm still connected. I can't believe that my Wi-Fi is reaching this far. I'm pretty impressed. All right, so here's the quail. Look at them all crowded up at the front. See if you can see that. There they are. There's the quail, the grow outs. I can't open this door right now because if I do, they'll all come dumping out of here. But they're getting pretty big. You can see they're, well, they kind of moved back a little bit. Maybe we can get this door open. Let's try. And hopefully they don't come jumping out. Oh, let me get back here. There we go. There's the birds. Stay back, guys. That's the problem with this grow out pen is that they just come pouring out. Hopefully you guys can see those. I got my hand in the way, don't I? A little dark in there as well. But you can see they're growing out pretty well. I got some pretty decent sized birds there. Let's see. Here we go. There's a pretty good size. That looks like a hen right there. Jumbo Pharaoh quail is what this is. All right, let me get this closed back up so I don't lose any birds. And, oh, lost the connection. I don't know if we're still connected or not. It says very bad connection, but I don't know if that means I lost the video or if we're actually still connected. So hopefully we are. I'm still live. Did you guys get to see the quail then? Well, thank you very much for the comments on the house. It's not a bad little house. Works out pretty well for me. It's only about, I say only, it's 1,900 square feet. It could be a lot worse, I guess. So 3 bedrooms. It's all right. It works out well for me. I don't think the rabbits are going to show up. You wanted to see them, but I don't think they're going to show up. It's pretty dark. You might be able to see her. There she is right there. Yeah, I barely made it. That's a ways out there. I can't believe my Wi-Fi reached that far. You can see this is probably the first doe I'm going to breed. This is my newest one. Again, I don't think this is going to show up on camera very well. It's pretty dark back in here. Let's go say hi to the male. He's the most sociable one I've got here. Here's my male California buck. He'll usually come right up to the front of the cage. He wants some attention usually. Scratch his forehead a little bit. He likes that. You guys get a close-up of my chin tonight. All right. There you go, guys. Gave you a view of the quail. And see you next week, New York Tigress. Thanks for joining. I appreciate that. Here's the only place I get to talk to you because I can't ever respond to your comments. So I appreciate you coming in here and chatting with me. And all of you guys, everybody that joined, thank you very much. What kind is my rabbit that I'm going to breed? She's a, she's not a Flemish giant. She's a, well, she's a mix, like a New Zealand and I can't remember the other breed that she is. Some kind of, one of the giants. I don't remember which one. Hey, knock it off. My dog's decided he wanted to dig. All right, guys, I got to check out for tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining. I appreciate that. God bless every one of you. And like I said, come back to this video after it posts, after it finishes. Leave a comment below and let me know what you'd like to see in future videos. Thank you guys. Have a good night. God bless every one of you. Take care. Bye.